With the, I'd like to see you guys see the other graphic. That type of stuff running is too much knowledge. So the customer will be like, "Oh, does that have the continuous rocker? Blah 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 blah." Like, you need to know more of like the level of the board, especially with the stuff you guys carry, because you show that to a customer, they're going to order something or want something that you guys don't even carry. So it's more to show you guys other stuff and the levels in the line, starting with like the beginner boards with what you guys have here. The Edens and the States, they're the exact same boards, just different graphics. Girls version, guys graphic, you get it and stuff. It is a very beginner board, but it is, with these remix boots, the cheapest board probably out there. So for that customer's like, hey, I just want a board, it's your good go-to one. The only downfall with it, you really want to talk to your customer and find out if they are a beginner, because you see how it has the tapered down. It's like that on both sides. Basically what that does is it makes a smaller edge on your toe side. So therefore, that level of beginner who can't really, we call them toe side heroes, they just can't get over there. That kind of makes it easier for them. So once they kind of pass that level, this board, I wouldn't say obsolete, but it becomes they've grown out of it. So unless they're just trying to stay in that price point where they're like, oh, I want to stay it. I think you guys got it at what, $4.99 here, to keep that at that range. Board and boots, that's their cheapest bang for their buck. But you kind of let them know that this is a beginner to intermediate, but more on the beginner side. On a plus side, what I do always say, especially because I'm always trying to get people to ride them like snowboards and stuff, I always try to say, like, well, that's what you're going to. Don't just always ride it toe side like this to make it easier. Switch your boots around, ride it switch, so it makes your switch riding a little bit easier as well. So you kind of play with it with different levels to kind of see and kind of use it to make it sound like they're more going to snowboarding. You kind of explain to them, hey, if you're into snowboarding, you don't go right to the parks. You probably hit the bunny slopes, do some carves before you go in there. Same kind of riding you kind of would suggest with this. You kind of go maybe make your rope longer. You're playing, kind of focus on the beginner aspects of it. When you take these bindings off, even if you didn't notice the shorter rail base there's a picture of a foot that shows toe side, heel side. So if you were setting this up for someone coming out of the box and you're like, oh man, there's a little picture of a foot underneath here that kind of shows it. But like I said, its main purpose with this board is someone just as, like I said, it's easy to lean on your heels back, but on your toes to lean into it. This is this board's main feature. So this is really focusing on beginner level riders. Same one in the Eden, same exact graphic. For all the sizes, it comes in pretty much every size increment, like 30, 35, 40, 45. Same thing with the Eden, 35. It goes all the sizes and stuff. Really good board for that beginner, but really grows out the next step. The next board that I think you guys it's even going to be, it sounds like on your guys' window, will be the Sender. That will be for the next group, anyone up from that. And the reason why that one's going to be your good go-to one is package board as well. It'll be probably at $5.99 with bindings and board at the intermediate to advanced. And to be honest with you, it's more of an advanced level board, but the way they package it with how you guys bought it with the boots, it's more of that intermediate advanced, because that boot kind of goes to everyone. On the inside of the boots, you'll see it, the range, there's like 7 to 10.5, 10.5 to 14s. Like there's pretty much just the two main sizes for those boards that you'll kind of get people sized in on. As far as which ones you guys got on the other ones, they either got them with remixes or open toe teams. I don't know if anyone at the other shop has a Sender there. Do you see what kind of bindings it has on it?
Wow, look at that thing.
There you go. But basically, yeah, so levels of riders with the board. If someone comes in, hey, I'm just looking for a wakeboard. Perfect. I mean, I didn't even see the sale price. Got it marked down there to $329. That's a killer price. That's I need one. Everyone can use. Like I said, with the girl ones, I think it's a 4 to 8, 8 to 9 stuff. And remember, with that's a girl's size. So I think with girls, you guys probably know better. I think with girls are 2 sizes down from a guy. So yeah, So if you got the girl that's trying to use the guy's binding, let's remind them that, you know, hey, maybe get the smaller ones if they have their foot, they're 2 sizes off. So cool, the boards are here that I was talking about. So this is the sender. This is your next level rider board. You guys got them with open toe teams, which is pretty much a cool boot to have because now it's a step up from this boot, a little bit stronger support in the side here. So it gives them just that step up. So at least when they're like, well, why is this one more? You can show them the stronger boot, but also the base is different. Now, I think it's cool because everyone will recognize it from the window and stuff. Because this is going to be the picture, like what you can see of it and stuff. So you can even point out the blue board from the window. But basically, you see it's a flat bottom board. The other one has channels versus this one has fins that are bolted in. I kind of like this with this next step level rider up because I'm always going to push that play right on my. Hey, you know, because everyone goes wakeboarding just immediately thinks you got to go out there and jump the wake. You got to go huge or try flips or, you know, take the fins off, these surface fins, ride it like a snowboard, like make your rope longer, you know, like encourage them to be that next level of what they could do on this board by playing with it, you know. So that's how you can kind of gauge beginner, advanced level rider, you know, or advanced level and wanting to grow. Any questions on any of the boards so far? Like I said, you guys only got kind of 2, and that's kind of basically what these ones are too. These are just the baseline, same versions of what they have in their boys and guys and girls. There's one of this too. I didn't see it come in to be the Journey. Same exact board, just a girl graphic on it. I don't know if you guys are carrying it. Same thing. That's what HYPERLITE does. Sometimes we just put a different graphic on it. There is one less layer of glass in the girls' boards, which makes them just a little bit softer. So if you do have someone, a guy who's just wanting to ride that graphic, just let them know like the weight range and stuff. And weight ranges are on all these charts that you guys have and stuff. And that's super cool to know. So at least gives you a base, but don't be locked into any of that stuff, especially because sometimes you have customers who just are trying to single skid and stuff. And they're like, no, I need to be on this small board. Well, the way snowboards are and stuff nowadays, you can get away with riding bigger boards. You know, you don't have to just stick to the charts. And that's why like I stay away too much from the facts of those. If you say the wrong rocker or something, something like, no, it says it, you know, it's got continuous because they're on their phone checking it or not. You want to more look at giving them facts about the board. Like I said, intermediate, advanced level board with some things to tell them on how to kind of grow. So you can kind of gauge their kind of, you know, you're giving them facts and information about the board and kind of encouraging them to better their riding. Like I said, boarding gets kind of a thumb wrap like that. They jump out there, like, ride for 15 minutes and then you're hop back in, like everyone's looking at you, you know, you don't get a time to get in a groove or something like that. So it's cool to like get people to like get out of their comfort zone there, make the rope longer. Don't worry about jumping the wake. Just do one wake jump, just do carves, just do all the stuff you would do on the mountain snowboarding or something, or getting onto skiing. It just sucks that it's usually squished into a 15-minute window versus snowboarding usually there for 5-6 hours or whatnot. But kind of challenge them with some of that fin stuff to like kind of get them to do the next level so that when they want to come back for the next year, because if it's not a board season, like if you guys are all thinking that, you know, hey, you know, boards aren't selling, it's going to be a gear season. A lot of people are going to be coming in looking stock goods. And you guys are pretty stocked, and we'll go over vests and like some of the differences because I've noticed a lot of people are restocking their boats for this year. So you may get a lot of just vests, questions, ropes, like, you know, all that stuff, more than you're getting board questions. So I'm sure, like I said, some of these boards are repeats that you guys have had and stuff. Some of the new ones, I hope I covered some of the basics. You know, I don't want to, like I said, you can get lost in all the information, but more just focus on the level of your customer. And then we can go into some of the other stuff because the next level we'll jump into is surfing. And I like to do pretty much the same thing. Beginner, advanced, and grown. Like, you know, so you kind of gauge the person as you talk to them. So any questions about wakeboards before we move kind of into wake surf? Did anyone at the other store have any questions on any other boards that maybe you have that they don't? I can kind of hear. No? Okay, I didn't hear it. Let's see. Anyway, so they may have a few boards that we may go over them, but for you guys, mostly these are what these basically are. These are just the older graphics and stuff, but that's still the same level of boards you can see. fins. The other one had the molded in with the thing. Sizes are all on the inside. If you guys are getting stuck in your kind of, like I said, girls ones you might may pick up on a little bit more than that, especially if the girls ask the question versus that. But I always encourage trying stuff on, especially with these boots. You know, like socks on, they slide right in and stuff. No more soap. So like, you know, you can just throw it down on the ground. Be like, hey, just put your foot in. It's better to do that, kind of get hands on and let them kind of see through them, because most people are sharing. It's not, snowboards aren't like snowboards. They're not, I need my own board. You may ride this with me. I may ride, you know, we're all sharing it. And that's what they can kind of see, that even though your foot may be a little bit smaller, you can tighten this up to kind of allow us to all share the same board, especially if that's their angle they're going with the beginner boards and stuff. So, with that being said, like I said, these are just the older graphics. Any questions on any of the boards so far?
I don't think we'll ever carry them, but how much of an advantage do you feel like it is with like the system boot that fits your foot properly with the binding?
It's a complete preference of like that snowboarder. It's more of the cable and like winch riders that like to go in these creeks and go up things that you walk on them and use the boots.
Yeah, sure.
Really big at Hale Park, especially at one of them has the sandy shore where your feet don't get gross. But if that level of rider who wants a good boot like that, chances are we're making good closed toe boots again. Like, you know, we've kind of put more technology into that, and then the liner comes out if you want. So you can wear that as a boot, but
more preference.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the system is a great boot. Like, people love it if you're using it for the proper thing. But some people are so snowboard oriented.
Right.
They love it because then you can leave the latch loose, tighten the boot. They can kind of get that, you know, and do the tuck knees.
Yeah.
So it's a specific customer and stuff. But the closed toe boots are coming back. It just sucks because they're still as expensive.
Yeah,
it's just, you know, it's just like a good pair of boots. They're $400 for it. But the closed toe boots you'll see on the, I think it's on the back there, they're like 9s, 10s, 11s. You get your size. So if they're of that level rider and stuff, but most of the people here are the remix or the open toe teams. Open toe team being the stiffer one, the remix just being the good all around boot and stuff. So
what do you like to ride? Do you ride closed?
I ride a closed toe boot that the liner comes out, but I don't take the liner out. And then I take some of the laces. I get, you know, like how these are in two parts. Okay, so I can be softer. Because system bindings, which I do usually, they make your feet float. So like I'll like unhook, and all of a sudden I'll feel my feet just kind of. Like, I'm like, what's going on here? But yeah, it's kind of a preference. But yeah, I see them being used different level, you know. But snowboard love them, you know.
And at the cable park, like you said, that makes a ton
It says you're in the meeting with microphone on.
In and out of water. It's no big deal.
And
barefoot,
the cable park has just been blowing up as far as like this.
I'm not sure why when y'all first joined it was muted, like you guys were muted.
Parents are just buying them equipment and like they see a snowboard, so they see this, and you know. It's been,
Heather and them do have closed toe boots. For some reason, they're trying to talk to us. The audio's not coming through.
I was trying to get my ear. I couldn't them down. Okay.
Like Heather, you say something.
Now with surfing, same basic thing. Beginner or advanced level board. Board for everyone to ride in the boat, or someone specifically like this is mine.
Yeah, if you do, I'll let you know.
How you can mainly tell is this board and then this one right here. They're what's called compression molded boards. They're made just like that wakeboard. I don't give any water skis, but like wakewater. You see like what sounds. The foam is just compressed with the shell fiberglass. You can tell when you lift it up how heavy it is. With that being said, it rides lower in the water. It makes it a little bit more stable. It's your go-to. Everyone can ride combo ski like boards that now we hear them. There we go.
Can you hear us now? Okay, we do have the gooey boots in stock and the bindings for it.
So you do have some boots.
We have everything here because we sell a lot more. I don't. Can you see us? Let me fix the camera so you can see what we've got. Start video. There we go. Okay. We have, let me show you. We've got how do I do this? There we go.
Yes, they do have a bunch in the system.
Yeah.
You're
So
welcome.
oops, there's me again. We have the gooey boots and bindings. We've got so we sent you one of these baselines. One of the things I wanted you to touch on was these the formula boots, because I've had really unhappy customers because once this gets wet, like see how nice it looks like it closes? Once this gets wet and you take out this plug, this stretches and there's only this much elastic on it.
Yep.
So beware when you sell this boot. Like I had sold it to a skinny guy and he was just really unhappy. There's nothing he can do about it. Is this something that you guys have fixed or is this ongoing?
No, that's still just that boot. That's probably the only board you guys ordered with that. All these ones.
I have 3. You
Yeah.
have 1. I have 2. There's 2 baselines with it. Last year's baseline like this. We have, you guys have one like this. So be careful when you sell that, who you're selling it to, and you don't want to tell them that's a problem, but at the same time you want to note it's a problem because they will come back to you.
Well, yeah, Velcro and water don't mix too well.
Yeah, and then we do have these in 10, 11, and 12, and we have the system bindings to go with it if they want a closed toe, if they're more advanced.
Okay, so you guys have the system. So yeah, anyone that snowboard type thing. That's
Yeah.
100%.
That's cool.
You know.
And then we additionally, so you guys can see what we have cryptics, we've got the journey for the girls. I know he has kind of told us some of the ones in between. We've got the motive for kids, we've got last year's Venice. The other thing is the boots, the bindings went up to 275 or 279 or something like that. A lot of our old inventory is just $100 more than that. So if they come in for new boots, which a lot of people do, they wear out faster than the rest of it, sell them the whole board. Just be like, hey, I've got the best pricing here. This is what I can do for you. Why for another $100, get a second board, no biggie, right? Better board. We can swap the bindings around too. So if you guys need more stuff from us,
Cool.
let us know.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, their inventory is a lot different than yours.
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
see
they
from
do.
that.
They sell a lot more.
Yeah,
out there.
so they have a lot more of that higher end. So you guys over there are big time, like what I was saying, as far as gauge your customer, beginner, advanced level board. If they're anything above being able to edge around, get them on something like that baseline. It looked like you had those binding, the one with the Velcro bindings. Get them on some of those cruises, the Rusties, any of those higher end ones you have there. Like get them on that. And like she said, if someone comes in, they're trying to find their old bindings broke and they want it is 100% better to just sell them a whole setup, because a whole setup, like she said, $279 for bindings. You got a whole setup here for $349. So it's like, really encourage that, and then tell them, hey, just keep that setup same, because chances are, especially if they come in with an older board, say it's not even the lace ones, it's the old rubber style. The bindings are going to be on a different hole pattern than the new bindings anyway. So it's like, but you will find the cheap ass who wants to go that route. So no, they will be able to fit them, but they only fit in 2 positions. And it's very obvious, either super wide or kind of like just right in the middle and stuff. So if they're dying to put bindings on, it does work, but chances are it is much better idea just to sell them a whole new setup. If it's that old, the hardware may not even, you gotta ask them if they have the new M6 hardware, metric versus standard. So you can give them a bunch of different reasons of why they should just get a whole new setup, especially as many as you guys had.
Yeah.
Boots and like some of those, move that product and stuff. Like I said, for $100 more, basically, you get a whole new board. So, especially if they're just looking, no, I just want something for anyone to ride. Perfect. And Eden or Estate is, just $100 more than just the bindings alone. So definitely try to move the whole package, especially as we enter into Memorial and 4th of July. You will get the customer who's broke them over the holiday or pulled the boat out and realized, wait a minute, the bindings are broken from last year. So that's a good point. So I'll keep that in mind. I kind of was looking at your surf thing too. We're getting into surf now.
Okay.
You guys have some other surfers we'll elaborate on too. But right now we'll jump into surfing, keep it going. And I'm assuming the same thing with that. You guys have a bunch of extra surfers that you're thinking the same thing to get rid of, or?
Yeah, we don't have I've sold the surfers we clearance out a little better, but I did get a lot of higher end stuff on really cheap. So either blems or other things. So we have a lot of room in a lot of our products. So when you get through them, we'll kind of talk about it
Perfect.
when you point them out. Yeah, we're trying to get rid of some of this stuff.
So really perfectly then, what you need to mainly focus with the surf is, like I was saying, compression molded, squished together like the wakeboards and like the water skis, heavier, stable in the water. It's the one board that everyone needs to start off and ride on. After that, anyone above that, it's better to push them into with that one there, the yellow one, or what you guys have, the buzzes, or some of those other ones that are what's called the hard shell. And you can tell what kind of board it is right off the bat. Just lift this one up. Compared to this is a hard shell. You can just lift it up, and you do that with the customer and let them see.
Are gonna be
Narrow down the
buttons.
like I don't know what I have. It's
This surfing style right here.
heavy like this.
We've got the broadcast up there.
Yeah, this is definitely I have. If you have a compression molded,
I'm gonna have
only need one. If you don't need to upsell them on, oh, this is a fancier that. If they have either a speedster or a broadcast or something, they're good with that one. You don't want to sell them the same stuff that they may already have in the rack. Wake servers are huge. They were trying to get this opportunity to upsell them up to something a little lighter or the Durashell stuff. Now, with that being said, the compression molded, heavier, stable in the water, good go to everyone. These boards, just by them going around, you guys can pick one up like that too and kind of tell the difference. A lighter board rides higher on the water like a real surfboard. If you're a beginner, by it being that much more buoyant, it's harder to push it down. Do I think that someone who's got any skill can figure it out? Yes, 100%. But a lot of times with these kids and the dad that's trying to shove them on a board that maybe isn't their size, that's going to be the main factor of why they should have only one of those and put everyone else on that one. But if they're trying to be a little bit more advanced, that lighter board rides higher in the water. That's, I mean, there's a million different brands, there's a million different scenarios, and the basic principles of how it works, that alone right there just separates the next level up of board. Compression molded boards, I think you got them in the $300-400 range. These ones, when they jump into Durashell, jump up into the $400-500 range and plus. And that's the mainly why we're going into a completely different way of making board. Compression molded, being stamped out. These ones more handmade. You'll see some of the ones you guys had, the Durashell ones that they're just made different. So you can kind of upsell and be like, well, do you have one that's this light? No. And that's where you can kind of take them to the next level of what they're getting when they get the next one. Yeah, the other one had the 3 fins, but this one has the turn fins. And this one comes with a cheaper plastic fin, which is fine. It just makes the board that much cheaper. So it kind of goes for the customer who's like, well, I don't really spend too much. But it's got the cheaper fin, so it's not breaking the bank. You guys had some of the higher buzzes, which probably came with the higher end fins. That's kind of why some of those boards jump up $50. They've just got a fancier fin on it. There's not much more to that. Was the price different, but the customer usually will ask. That's usually why each increment changes. But if you're trying to kind of sell them on, you've got the beginner one. This is kind of your intermediate one because it's got that cheaper fin. You guys have the higher end ones. You can take them to the next level if they're looking.
We've got the time machine and the buzz. And last year you told us about switching the fins around and stuff like that. Could you explain that to them again this year in case they want to sell them?
Yep. So what happens with the other boards that you have, like especially with that time machine and stuff, what I usually tell people is like, you'll always have the guy who's like, yeah, no, I enjoy riding it, but I'm trying to do a 360. And he thinks he has to buy a whole skim board type board to learn that trick. Basically what you can do is take this fin off and just ride with the center one. That allows the board to 360 around and still be a functional board. Chances are most people buy a board to just get the 360. And then they're like, wait a minute, I actually don't like this board. I need it to be kind of more of that hybrid in between, which is why this one is a little bit more all use for everyone. Because with the 3 fins, say he likes to carve more, you can keep just the 2 outer ones on Or like with that time machine, same thing, take those 2 ones off the side there and just ride with those. Or if they want to have a looser board, you just put the one little one in the middle right here. Or the time machine has the 2 right here. It's just the higher level board up from this. Same Durashell, same all that stuff, but you can get away with a lot of fin placement, especially for people who are like just trying to get out of the compression molded it into the next level, especially if they're just trying to learn that one trick. 360s are pretty much the flips of wake surfing. So, you know, like it's the one trick everyone wants to do, but they want to do it on a skim style board. And most people, after they're done with the it's like that sliding on ice feeling. They really don't like it, but it's super easy to do a 360. But once they get that trick, they usually want to go back to their original boards. So it's better to give them that knowledge with the fin so they can kind of play, especially also too, it's giving the customer some knowledge about, hey, I'm not trying to necessarily upsell you a board, I'm multi-sell you boards. Just play with the fins. And a lot of times you can get the new fins for like $10, you know, like put a different fin on it. They can even get a smaller one, especially with that time machine. It comes with a little knuckle fin. You can put those on the buzz, you know, like these little things. You know, when you talk to some of the big wake surfers, they don't change their boards as much as they change their fins out in the ocean. Same thing you can do with these, you know, these boards. And that's how you can kind of encourage them to get the time machine or the buzz and play around with all the fin options on how to ride the board and stuff.
Is that something we can order and drop ship to them?
Yeah,
To
100%.
capture that
Yeah,
sale?
and it's super easy. Like I said, it's one of the things too, like I've got some in my car, I could leave you with some and stuff. But just give them to customers, you
I mean,
know?
I do sell the new wake surfs and stuff that we got. I have the fins in my office with all the warranty info because they tend, like the ones on the States, sometimes they fall off. And so when you sell them, you just come grab them on the office.
Yeah,
They're
I mean,
all
you
in
guys may have
individual
that too
envelopes
with the
labeled to look good.
your board, especially the time machine. It has so many fins.
Yeah, ours are just in packages with the warranty info.
Yeah,
Heather did them all separate and individual labeled envelopes.
perfect. Yeah, no. And like you said, that just to keep track of them, because that's the thing that sucks, losing them around the shop. You got a customer sold on them, and then it's kind of rough. Every shop's different. Like, do you put the fins on them? Are they doing more? You know, like, so each his own, just as far as, you know, just they get lost and stuff. But customers lose them too. So, you know, that's why you guys may want to have them, just little extra ones, just to kind of, you know, if you give someone a $10 fin and tell them to go try something, they're coming back with whatever you played with and gave them a little bit of knowledge. And, you know, you've created now a customer bond with them where they trust you now and they want to kind of come back for more knowledge from you and stuff. So, like I said, I don't like to focus as much on this board has an 8.2 turn or what, anything crazy like that. It's more just gauging your customer and what you can do to kind of help them and kind of keep them and move product out of your guys' store, and knowing, you know, especially now knowing that you guys have different stuff than they do. You know, if there's something they're looking for with those systems, they can send, you know, you guys can get them here, whatever needs to be done to, you know, get that higher end customer, especially with those systems. That's a snowboard type boot. You know, they got a snowboarder up here who's looking for those boots. You know, that's a good.
And I did get those GUIs on closeout at $60. They retail for $300. So even if you got to make a deal, still sell them because you can't. You got a lot of room in them.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's what I'm saying. So I mean, take advantage of that. And if someone's coming in, especially that guy who's coming in saying something, oh yeah, I just want these old bindings, whatever, you're like, well, you can get systems. You know, especially for those prices, you can get systems for his board before he gets some crummy boot. So yeah, definitely keep in mind what their higher end stuff. So if you do get that customer who's just, you know, and he's probably full of it, but like if you get the sense from them that they're like, oh, I can do flips and blah blah blah. You're like, all right, cool. We'll talk to those guys. They got the higher, you know, like if that's what they're looking for and stuff like that. We're telling them that you can get stuff. Let them know. But also when you want to kind of gauge your beginner guys, like I said, I think a lot of people are coming in stocking their boat this year. You know, if they're not looking for a new board and stuff, perfect. You know, move into the gear and stuff. So
you mentioned metric versus standard for some of the boots and bindings, and is that a year by year basis?
no.
or is it
So
some-
6 years ago or so, we switched to metric. The whole industry did.
Okay.
But that customer who's got those old ass bindings usually has like standard hardware, and they're like,
That's what I'm gonna say. I love my board.
all right, hold on.
We just talking into them better.
Just to show everyone too, you'll know all metric hardware, you'll see it is black. It's got the black threads and stuff. All the standard ones when they come in, they'll be silver. So if someone comes in with silver hardware, I mean, even the black, when it rubs off, you can still tell it was black at one time and stuff. So, I mean, that's usually the one way I talk people out. But I'm like, would you even have your old hardware? And they're like, oh no, all that broke off. And you're like, you're not even gonna be able to make these fit, you know, like.
Yeah.
So that's what she said. They got old enough bindings and system bindings and stuff. Send them here, get them on a whole new setup and stuff. So, did you guys have any questions on some of your higher level surfers, time machines, buzzes, or any of the ones I saw there that you have?
If you wanted to explain to my staff, that would be great. Plus, these guys might sell them over there. It wouldn't hurt to hit them. If you want me to grab them, I can.
Yep, not a problem. Basically, it's the same thing. It's a Duracell board. It's that next level up from compression molded. And like I said, pick one of those broadcasts or speedsters up, and then pick up one of these Duracell or that Buzz, and you can tell how much lighter it is. The difference that you're mainly seeing between a Buzz and like a shim is basically this. When you look at the edge, you can see how this goes round and right into a 90-degree. Boom, so that's, yeah, see how it goes right. That's actually what makes something a skim board. If this had no fins on it, it would slide across the water. Like, it's just the way any brand, anything, it's just the way water works, the way it slides. So with that being said, that makes this more of a skim board style. So that guy who's like, I want to try to kind of do more 360s, and even said he says the term shove it or any of that stuff, chances are with that little fin, he's gonna like this type of board more. If you got the guy who likes to carve a little bit more, you guys have that Buzz, and that one's edge goes round the whole way, which gives it more of that surf. Now, nobody's fully surf, so on the back of the Buzz towards the tail, it does start to get square. So it's more of what I call a hybrid. And that Buzz one is actually one of my more favorite ones, because you can do like what she was saying. I put the fins from that time machine, those little black ones that you guys have there. I put that on that Buzz, and I ride that board rides really well, because now it's like a surfboard, but I've got skimboard style fins on it. So it makes it that complete, you know, because some of these wakes are so obnoxiously big now. Like, catching the pocket is not the hard part, like where it used to be, where, you know, these boats had little wakes and we were all leaning on that side. So many boats have huge wakes. So getting that sweet spot isn't as much needed as where those boards were. So now you just take advantage of the fins, and, you know, you play with it. You know, you have fun. Hell, I love to drop down and like sit on my chest and pop back up, like goof around things. Like, everyone wants to do the high level trick. You gotta do the fun stuff, like, you know, the shit you did when you were a kid. Like, you know, like, I feel like I used to get yelled at for hanging off the back of the boat and stuff, and now like they're encouraging you to like surf off the back of boats. Like, I feel like it's a dream come true. So goofing around, doing all that stuff, like, you know, telling them about that, especially with that time machine. That time machine's got 4 fins versus all these have 3. So that has that really locked in feeling. So if you got a guy who's got a really big wake, he can really take advantage of the carbs. Same thing like why these ones have bigger fins. They can do more of a carb. So your Buzz board is more of a surf style hybrid board. This is more of a skim style board. So if they say, you know, they're trying more of that style, that's how you could kind of know that that's the main difference between a Buzz and a shim. Same thing with the time machine.
Of sporting goods for you.
I got a pallet. I'm gonna go. These guys are weird.
But yeah, so I think did you guys have any other questions on some of your surfers? Yeah, that's the main thing you guys are gonna have to do. Compression molded Duracell. And like I said, by giving them something they can see, most of them can tell too what they have at home, where you can be like, well, I don't know. And you can be like, well, here, pick it up. Like, that gives them another thing, like some little bits of knowledge that they can kind of take away from it. That's kind of the surfers and the boards. I want to take a little time to, like I said, product has changed as far as other stuff in the line and the stuff. You guys carry the most of the same stuff: vests, ropes, surf ropes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. If you see a rope or something that you guys don't have, or have they don't, just let me go over it. I'm gonna start with vests. Just like I said, with people kind of coming in for new stuff, I like to kind of point out the differences between some of the vests. You get the guy who's coming in who just needs vests for the boat. These are nylon vests. These are your cheapest vests. Hey, I just need 8 people that have vests for, you know, the buddies that are coming out in tubing. Perfect. This is your go-to one. Multiple buckles, nylon. It doesn't get any more basic than that. 34 bucks per vest. They can usually get a whole bunch of them. If they're looking to kind of get more for them or step it up for anything but that level, that's where you start getting into neoprene. You can still get a vest like this you guys are doing it with. 74 bucks. This is as basic neoprene as you get. They just have a bunch of these. Sometimes guys just don't like having the nylon ones. They want to have these for all their buttons. This is your best go-to one. It's as simple as it comes. Same as that. Solid vest. That's what makes it kind of cheap. It's a solid piece, so it kind of just wraps around you. It's fine. But if it's going to be your vest, you're going to want to point out to the customer the next level up. Same color, same all the fancy stuff. It's a Coast Guard vest. It's always going to have 2 buckles. But see how now we have a bead back? So at least now it can form. So it's like you and I are sharing a vest, no problem. At least this allows it to fit a little better than that, where that one's a little poofy. It's just for the next level of person. You just ask them, what are you looking for? Is this a vest for your boat or is this your vest? A lot of times guys are coming in for a vest just for them. We got plenty of these ones. They want a good one. Or the same thing, I like to do a combo if you're selling vests. No one rarely needs just one vest. They're coming in, they need vests for the boat because they notice everything molded or something over the winter. Selling 2 of these cheap ones, but they'd be like, hey, when everyone's riding, have the better ones for that, you know, selling 2 or 3 vests, especially like I said, with these ones being so cheap or the nylon ones being so cheap, you can kind of tack on 3 or 4 vests because then they'll start to think, oh shit, okay, 2 people tubing at a time, you know. Vest sales add up really quick, and margins usually on vests are usually up there, you know, especially like you guys got a bunch of stuff. I'm maybe got some cheap vests too that they're pretty good on vests. So like moving vests in bulk is always a good thing. They said people are always molded out or something happened, unfortunately fires or anything, but that's the main step up. A higher end vest for like someone whose vest is gonna be there. Guys ones, no problem. That really goes off well with the ladies because then you can explain to them. Because unfortunately, like women's vest is still just a Coast Guard thing. This vest sells really well because it looks good, but you see the solid back. A lot of the women will like a little bit more of the V-cut ones like we saw that'll fit better around them so it's not looking so tight around the neck area and stuff. But that's what you're going to mainly see with the lower end vest versus the higher end vest. The flat backs versus the V's. And like I said, I just like to gauge when you see it. What are you using it for? Oh, perfect. It's your vest for this. Okay, no, you two are sharing it, you know. And then when anyone ever tells you guys they're sharing stuff, always try to figure out who the main person is. Sometimes people will say, hey, we're sharing gear. And the other guy comes out one time a year versus the other guy rides it every time. Like, have them gauge who rides it the most, you know. And that's what I'm saying. I have no problem chit-chatting with customers, bullshitting the way it is. Yeah, maybe a little bit more not to the point, but you get pieces of information from them that make helping where to direct them the right decision, like I said. And that's how you get them to come back. They want to come back and bullshit you. Or they know some of just the little stuff I said, yeah, you may not have known every rocker of the board, but you knew that thin trick or you knew the difference for that. And little things like that make people come back or want to come back to upgrade their stuff next year. So that's the main thing with the vests I wanted to go over. Kid vests and stuff we have all here. You guys have them too. Anytime you get yourself into a situation with the kid stuff, because no one knows what size their kid is. The weights are all on the inside. So with your infant child, just so you don't get yourself into, you just say, hey, here's the weight, and let them kind of decide what it is and stuff. Because every parent's always going to try to up their kid, and it's, you know, it sounds like a horrible thing, but you really don't want to put your kid in some too huge of a vest that they can fly out of. You know, they're like, no, my kid can fit in a woman's small, and you like see the kid and they're clearly like barely a child vest. Like, I get it, they're not trying to buy vests every year, but you got to kind of show them like the weight thing is for their kid's safety and stuff.
The kid's safety, but then like not only slipping out of it, but it's like too buoyant. It's like you were saying about the boots earlier.
Yeah.
You're like trying to swim with the boots on or whatever, and they're floating up.
Exactly, and that's
A
kind of like.
kid and trying to swim with that, they'd just be like face down.
Yeah, and like
in the
that's the thing you'll see with the infant one. It has the neck thing. So
Yeah.
like the parent who's trying to get one more season out, it's like, man, your kid, it's gonna slam your kid's neck in
Yeah.
the thing. So I mean, definitely take advantage of the weight being like right here on the inside of the kid's vest. Kind of help get you guys out of a situation, especially if you don't get there stuck while they're talking on the phone. How much does the kid weigh? Like. So they can make their own decision, especially, I don't know if you guys have like Costco's around here. Like usually they're like, I can find that at Costco. So Costco is a super seasonal thing. You had like that week, and then once it's gone, it's gone. So like, people who tell you, oh, I'm just gonna go check out, like, all right, cool, but when you can't find them, come back here. I got them all here. And same thing with kids' vests. They come in nylon and neoprene. You guys have both of them. The nylon works perfect for the guy who's just looking for a cheap vest. But the kid, you want to kind of push the neoprene ones on the kid. The kid until 8 or 10 has to wear a vest. So being in a soft vest versus something that's rubbing them, like you can guilt trip a parent into. And then I don't know if you guys have a bunch of kid vests. I pull this card a bunch too. So kids have to wear vests all the time, right? So you get stuck in a wet vest, it really rubs the kids raw. And any parent who's left it has seen it with the rash. You can sell them a swimming vest and like a chilling in the boat vest. So like you can sell them a neoprene one that's their soft chilling in the boat one that they have to wear the whole time. And then you can get them in like the cheaper nylon one or just another neoprene one as their swimming one. And once the parent thinks about it for like a split second, they're like, yeah, they've dealt with the kid with the rash. They've dealt with the kid who's freezing on the boat ride back because he went swimming in the afternoon and his vest is still. So you can work the guilt trip with the kids' vest. No problem. I mean, they're not like $100 vests or anything. So like she was saying, to upsell the bindings, I upsell vests like crazy because like I said, I know it's a weird item, but it's one of those margin things where you sell 6 or 7 of them, you're probably up there with the same as someone who sold a board a day. So like you're trying to sell some of the soft goods and stuff too. Not every customer is going to want boards this year. Like I said, if that's the case, be ready with what your soft goods and like, you'll be able to give them some knowledge of what's the difference. And these things that I'm showing you work with, I'm not supposed to all your brands, like these key facts of compression molded, the V-back. I don't care if it's an HO vest, a Ronex vest, liquid force, these principles apply to everything. You guys trying to give you knowledge so that you guys can kind of grow the sport. They're the last kind of pro shop. Everyone else is on Amazon. So if they can come here and touch stuff and be like, oh, this is what I said, like, yeah, they may be able to get this with their house by Friday, but you have it right now and they can kind of take it. So like capitalize on that and kind of same thing with you guys. Your pro shop looks even a little different. If you got them in there, get those sales and sell them on new stuff or more stuff or a few more things to add on. And like I said, we're growing the sport. Wakeboarding's slowly making a comeback. The fact that most of these boats cost $300,000 is definitely not helping, but we're getting there. But any questions on any of the vests? I know they're pretty basic, but do you guys have any?
I don't have questions on the vest. Can you hit on the tow ropes for just for everybody? We had talked, Michelle and I had talked, I think it's unclear. They have like 2-man, 4-man, 6-man. What is the benefits of buying what and what should we be recommending, please?
The
Okay,
length,
so
the
what I'll do is I'm done with
materials,
that. I'm gonna jump into ropes first. We'll start with lower and stuff like 2 ropes. Okay, so 2 ropes work down to this main thing.
We could bring over some.
There's
If they don't have them.
basically how big of
We sell more ropes.
if they're using just a little 2-man, little tube, 2K is gonna work.
Which I don't even think we carry.
Yeah, which is usually just the cheap one or whatnot. The 4K is usually your go-to one because even if someone's got a 3-man one, it's a little bit thicker of a rope. It's kind of the one that everyone can use just in case. I always kind of use this one too because you always will see the guy who tows someone in with their $200 wakeboard rope. I also saw, I'm sure it's not gauged for it, but you're always like, hey, if you're ever in a situation, this is what you use to get towed in. Your $40 rope versus your $200 wakeboard rope. If you're reaching for a rope to just throw someone in a panic, this can handle a little bit more of that load. Now, they have a mega yacht. No, I'm not telling them to go with it, but you can at least kind of, it's the thickness of it. And you can tell you guys may have the 2K, but this is the 4K and this is the 6K. So you can just see when they're next to each other how much thicker they are, you know, and that's for like, that's a huge tube, you know, like if anyone's using that, it's one of those huge water weenies, one of the huge, like, you know, patio things and stuff. Most people can get away with the 4K, you know. Only downfall of the 6K, if you're using it on a smaller tube, you'll be able to tell your path's not even running. You guys pick one up. It's heavy as hell. So what happens is it starts sagging down and now it's dragging in the water because the rope's so heavy. So if they really aren't pulling that big tube, I'd push that 4K tube rope. And then if you are kind of thinking you always having a different, the 2K one is in the line and you can make away with it. And there's a couple really just cheap ones that I think they're $29 and your margins on them are like 65%, you know, so like they're just, well, I don't know, tariffs now, who knows, I mean, it's like that, but eventually when it balances back out, like that's another quick margin maker with just the quick tube ropes and stuff like that, but
My question for you, this SKU doesn't exist anymore.
100%.
And so is this rope the same as this rope now?
Yes.
Okay, because
Yes.
the placards changed, I was like,
Yes,
I
and
don't know if
remember
they're
it changes for every color too.
Okay.
So then it went this, and but that with it, there is in the 2K line, let's call this the Ultra.
Yeah,
There's a cheaper one, and the only way you can tell
yeah.
is like the pad on here versus this one has the rubber things. So
Okay,
it's the dumbest thing ever, but it's a crossover item, carryover item. That obviously the SKU changed. But
okay,
it's
because we were
still,
retagging on the new map and I was like,
I
I
know,
don't know if this is
I've
it.
noticed it quite a few like with the 2K
Okay.
ones, because a lot of people brought that cheaper rope in. They're like, what the hell, it's the exact same rope.
Yeah,
What just happened?
what is
My
different? Yeah.
registering this goofy, and then invoices aren't matching and stuff. So
Yeah, there's a lot
yeah.
of funky things.
yeah,
I was
so it
like,
throws you a curveball. We like to keep you on your toes for a stupid tube rope. But yeah, that's the main thing. Even between that, you'll hear 2K, 4K, 6K. It's just the amount of people they're pulling on the tube. Like I said, I try to stay away from the heavier stuff. They do make a ball that like inflates that, you know, you could put out there if they were extreme tubers, but chances are, you know, they're just goofing around. So the 4K one is your good go-to one without weighing it down, because it's pretty, I'm sure you guys, when you hold them next to each other, you can tell just how much more rope it is. Like I said, sell it as two. Everyone gets towed in every now and then, you know, as your go-to. Because like I said, if not, it goes like this, and you see them using this as their tow rope, and this is where we'll jump into next. This is one of the most expensive wakeboard ropes basically they make. All the fancy float stuff, so it floats. Soft handle, sure. But that same soft handle comes on all the other ropes. I know I'm probably totally not supposed to say this and stuff, but I know everyone likes this because of the colors. This is not the best rope. The next rope down from this, the one you guys have, the fuse, with usually the same handles, and that's usually what they're looking for, is a soft handle, and that's what's great about both. They can hold them in their hands and be like, oh, okay, and see the difference. This is this stuff coated with this stuff. So in here it twists. So if you get a good rider, it's twisting in there every time they flip. So unless it's just someone who likes it because it floats and that it's purple, and you guys probably have them in every color and stuff, your customers want this. Once the knots go tight, it doesn't twist as much. It's the handle's got the floats on the side. This is your go-to one. It is a few bucks cheaper. This one's $149. This, yeah, $185. So like, I know you're supposed to always upsell it, but unless they just grab this off the wall because they like this, or have them grab both hands. This fuse line is kind of where, and you guys have a lot of it and stuff. This is the rope more people use, and it functions. It's got a wax coating on it. You can kind of see it. It's your go-to. It used to be the cool stuff, and then they made stuff that floats, and all of a sudden it's not cool anymore. But that's what you guys basically sell the most of. I don't know if you guys have that type of rope, but that's the main difference between that rope that's coated in any of that plastic, from purple, blue, every color you could possibly think of that they could sell you and make a SKU for. So
Right.
keep it to the use ones, like especially if you get someone
Also,
unless they just are asking for this stuff, that's your good go-to high-end rope. Everything else from those two ropes is kind of your step down with the guy who's like, I just need a rope. I'm just going wakeboarding. Just give me a rope. Because then you jump into the poly E ropes. They're basically the same type of rope as like you saw the tube ropes kind of are, more of a stretchy, non-coated wax ones. Same handles. And that's what I'm saying. If someone's coming in just looking for I just want a good handle, the squeegee grips come in all the handles, and you guys got them in all of them. I'm sure you guys ordered them the same way. They can get that handle on everything. It's the rope that's changing, like I said. So that being the higher end rope and stuff, like I said, different margins. That's why I kind of like that stuff. Kind of keeps it going and stuff. That's your fancy guy. He just wants it. Maybe he ran his buddy's rope over and it was that one. That's besides that, these are your, hey, I just need a wakeboard rope. You can see them too, how much different they are than those other ones. And you guys, the same thing, kind of look at them and stuff.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So when we were tagging these, right? And we were looking up the SKUs, it says 75 feet
Correct.
here. The SKU under this tag says 70.
70, so what it is.
So I know that's usable space, but I want to be able to like enunciate that to the customer. So I
And
don't
so
think
here's
we're
where it
selling
comes
the wrong
down
size.
to, and that's where it measures from. That's why I hate like when you go by like catalogs or like what she was saying, SKUs of what got printed out. The rope with all its sections is 70 feet. The
Okay.
rope is 75 feet. It's how it got described somewhere along the corporate process.
Yeah.
That got transitioned into that now. It has increments in it where it goes 75, 70, 65, 60. So it's not like it's a fixed rope. You have all those sections. But yes, for SKU wise, it is a complete nightmare. And remember, it probably isn't a carryover item. So unless it begins now with a 2.5,
Okay.
it's probably not going to be a carryover.
Okay.
So like it's like a complete night. And like
Yeah, which for tagging purposes
Oh,
was like, hey, I
God,
want
yeah.
you to tag it based on what SKU
and don't
is
forget the
in
color
versus
as well. If you get it wrong. So yes,
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you end up kind of making a SKU. And I always tell the stores, especially with goofy stuff like that,
Yeah.
go with what's matching the invoices and like on
Okay.
that. So therefore, if like a sticker came off and you type that number in,
That's what we
that's
want to
coming
tag
up,
as, right?
not whatever new number. And then when that
Okay.
expires and the new ones come in, you have that one. And that's just like a kind of random, like you said,
Yeah.
otherwise you're gonna play this Hearthstone and it's a nightmare for your systems. Like, and
Yeah.
to most of you guys probably don't, it's just a different level for in there where they're typing stuff. You want to make it for you guys when you're bringing things up to be as smooth as possible. I mean, nothing worse than when you've been spending an hour with someone and then you're up there and you're like, I want to,
Sorry, 1 second.
like, I don't know if you guys use like certain track negative this and then you're like, so I don't know if you guys, they use the same system as you.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
we're all
So,
on
yeah,
speed and we
you
share
guys
our
kinda-
inventory, so.
Perfect. So yeah, so that's the main thing with wakeboard ropes. Now when we get into surf ropes, it's kind of that same thing. High-end rope versus the lower end stuff. Basically with surf ropes, I mean, your main goal is to throw it in the boat. So you don't really focus on having the greatest handle. I want to just focus that all these handles are the same. It's just different color. Back to the SKU nightmare, you just gotta have different part numbers, but the same thing. I was just gonna, hey, you need a surf rope? Perfect. What color do you want? But instead of asking anything, I just go right to what colors, and then they're usually like, what? And they realize this is your cheap go-to rope. It matches the boat a little bit or whatever other color they want. They're all the same. Blue, yellow, red. It's a cheap, good go-to one. And that's all you need. I mean, a soft handle. The only question you really want to be asking with wake surfing is, you see how these handles are super small? That's so there's just a little less chance of them putting their hand through it or their head when they fall, when they do throw it. Because some people throw it in the boat. Some people just kind of toss it to the side and you could fall into it. Some people like to make their old wakeboard handle into one. That's kind of, I mean, right on if you're trying to, but it's kind of more dangerous than it's worth, especially for a $79 rope. Just buy a new rope. Like it's not, and then you can have a 2-1, but sometimes people will do that. And that's what I always ask more than anything. You're not using your wakeboard rope or anything like that. Because someone will get, the one person that you'll just hear about it on the news next week or the following thing, just as those you out of Shasta, someone will, you know, we're trying to kind of get it that there is a difference. Don't use that one, don't get hurt. And that being the only next step up with wake surf rope, anything up from that is they're like foamed around the side. These ones are ski ropes, but some of the higher end surf ropes have padding on the side. That's the only up to any of the higher end surf ropes. Yes, they have ones that bungee and all these fancy things, but the main thing is a piece of rope that's keeping you 15 to 20 feet from the back of the boat. Like, just kind of asking more what they're doing for. Most people just need another surf rope because they don't have one, or people find surf ropes hover a lot because they're so close to the boat. So a lot of times that's why these are the good ones, and I kind of don't push the heavier ones, because if they are that type of person that's back for another one because they ran it over, probably gonna run over the next one too and stuff. So, but yeah, the padded ones, the only thing I would say about that is for the guy who likes to throw them into the boat. Sometimes this, I don't know if you hit someone in the head or whatnot, obviously it still has padding for the floats, so it still floats, but the guy is concerned about his kids in the boat or something. That's the upsell of some of the padded foam helmets. And they come in every same thing, every color in the world. I don't know. Do you guys have different wake surf ropes than these?
No, we have the same.
Okay, yeah. Then these are your go-to, every color and the rainbow type thing. For the guy though, who now is going into ski ropes and stuff, unless he's just gonna try like water skiing every now and then, he can get away with using this poly E one. Not a wakeboard rope like those non-stretch or the fancy ones. Basically comes down to this. With wakeboarding, you want a non-stretch rope. So when you jump in the air, the rope doesn't pull forward. These ropes stretch. Perfect for water skiing. Cut, you don't need that kind of give. You get that kind of rope with someone who's trying to wakeboard all the time, it's gonna pull you over if they're trying to jump. If they're just out there pulling the kids around, perfect. If they're actually trying to water ski though, and that's their main thing, get them on these ropes, these poly E ones. I know they're pro line. I don't know, you guys carry this brand over there, everything, but this is an actual ski rope. Yes, it has a smaller handle, and that's a skier kind of dynamic, but it's the rope that comes down to it. So if they're actually skiing, don't put them on a wakeboard rope or anything like that. If they're kind of all around, you get away with it. But that's the main difference if they say anything about skiing. You do not want them using a wakeboard, you know, especially if they're trying to, oh no, I want to use it for both. This stuff, then not the high end stuff. Don't let them water ski or combo ski with this. You don't want them pulling that much pressure on the rope and stuff. So, and like I said, that's with everything. I always just try to gauge them. Again, are advanced. Each customer, and you guys feel now, you guys all have your own sales technique with talking to them to kind of get information out of them, you know, kind of keep it basic, give them bits of knowledge about even any of the stuff, vests, ropes. That's how you kind of grow versus this is a 65 feet, you know, pure knowledge. They can read that stuff off their phone. And chances are, if you say some of the facts about it, especially you guys with your wake surf, if you start quoting things that don't match exactly what they're reading online, you kind of lose your credibility with them because they're like, oh, he doesn't know anything. He said 2.5, it's got 2 inches of rock. He was like, that's just, you know, it's just not worth it. It's more giving them bits of knowledge that you get them to come back, get them to kind of realize that, you know, you're a pro shop. You're giving them the knowledge that they're not getting online. They're getting to touch things, you know, make it the whole experience. So especially over your shop, okay, you guys got a bunch more boards and stuff. Get them to see everything. Pick those boards up. See the differences, not just this one does this one does that. You know, get them touching things, grabbing things. So I can see in the back there, you guys got a bunch of them. So, you know, kind of work the customers down the line like that. Let them touch things, you know, let them see how it works. But any questions or anything else I haven't gone over as far as ropes or any of that stuff that you guys have or anyone else here have?
The ski ropes stretch a little bit and wakeboard not as much.
Yeah,
What
like
if
a
people
cable,
are people are airing on skis?
What's that?
What are people that are airing on skis?
That guy has,
He's got
some skills
Yeah.
and he can handle, and he's probably using that spring
to tell.
to, you know, like we are reaching a whole different,
Right.
same thing like if you get the guy who's like, oh, I'm gonna barefoot. He knows he can't barefoot with this rope. You know, kill someone in the boat, you know, because that's what will happen if they're any of those sports. You're stretching, fighting it so much, and it builds spring, and it just can shoot into the boat versus, and that's what used to suck with wakeboarding. Even the guys didn't even know. They're like, oh, I'm a beginner, it doesn't matter. Well, maybe that makes it worse because, you know, you got a guy who's like just trying to muscle it. It's always the guy who just, I'm not gonna knock it up, and he's fighting it. And the next thing you know, like I've seen windshields break and shit. Like they can spring them up that because there's so much surface there they can drag, but having the non-stretch rope kind of gives you a little bit different, you know, and it makes it more fun when they get to that level. Especially even if they're carving, you can tell because you start leaning against it, which is cool for water skiing. For wakeboarding, you know, nothing worse than going into a carve and then you getting that extra little inch, and you're like, well, where'd that come? You know, like, and that's what I like to push to customer stuff, like go carve, go slash, especially wakeboarding. Always challenge them to kind of do it related to if they're coming from a ski background, and you guys ski or snowboard, you know, relate something that'd be fun to do. Like, just like I said, I love always pointing out the mountain state. Nobody goes straight to the park, even if they're parked. They play around. Do that same when you go wakeboard. You may have just given them one more idea to go play on, in the boat. And that's, like I said, the little extra knowledge you can kind of give. And then hopefully some of you guys get to come down to Reveal this year and shred a little bit.
what's
and
that?
stuff. We usually do it towards the end of the season and stuff, and kind of check out some of the stuff, and, you know, hopefully get to ride a little bit of it, you know. But
Is that at the cable park down there?
we do day one. We can do I'll take anyone to the cable park who wants to go shred some cable, but it's usually for you guys. It's just on the way, but most people just will go right to the Delta because they just want to wakeboard. So
Okay.
yeah,
Some of the details on that
Yeah,
when it comes
definitely.
up.
4-person ropes are okay for all our 2-person
yeah,
tubes
yeah.
or 1-person
Yeah,
tubes?
the only thing you'll notice will be the heavy ones. It's like they'll kind of, you'll know, especially like with, like, say they use that citrus one and you're using that 4K.
Okay.
Yeah, you
No
don't want them
sink
using the
below.
6K because it'll just be
Okay.
dragging in the water. And fine when you're going, but you know when you get into a whip and there comes that time where they're just about to slide, instead of sliding, that rope will be dragging in the water. And yes, but I'm sure you've seen our YouTube video, and now that I told you what to look for, you'll now see what causes some of those people to like fly. Because the rope drags, puts it down into the trash, and then they'll hit those things. And those are usually the best YouTube videos. I mean, before Americans put his own videos was the style, you know. So I think that was kind of it for that stuff. Tubes and stuff. I don't know if you guys have tubes over there.
The time,
Yeah. Tubes and stuff. You're just kind of, I like to feel out the person, what they're using it for. Like most people, they just want a tube. You know, you go with the tubes, the Sunset series being the higher one. Some people love the crazy tubes and stuff. I'll leave the charts. I always just let them kind of look and see, especially the key is to sell the stuff you have in the store, especially this year with all the tariffs and stuff. Drop shipping is more than welcome, but as far as for you guys, if you want to make as much money as possible, 11%, 12% as it increases throughout the summer, ain't gonna fly for too long. This is getting crazy.
Doubled that 5.5.
Yeah. So, you know, like you want to kind of nail what you have in the store. So if someone is like, hey, I just need this type of tube, push what you have as far, and I mean that with any brand. It's just how you sell stuff in the store. Look at what you got. You know, you guys have a bunch of Merricks, sell the Maverick tubes, you know, like it's
The nice
flat.
part is we sell out at both stores too, because we transfer everything.
Yeah, and just, you know, kind of see what it is versus having to drop ship some 6-person tube that, like I said, this week now you're paying 11% extra. Like I said, you're gonna get the customer who wants that exact one. Hey, perfect, right on. You know, you make your money what you can, but yeah, these tariff things suck, especially on stuff like tubes and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much like I said.
How did the tariffs affect the hydrofoil? Because we get a lot of, you guys have a great starter package. Just so you guys know, HYPERLITE offers a great starter package, and last year it was like $1,500, all of it, which is a great dropship item if people just want to get into it and they are like they're new to it. But how did that affect it? What are we looking at now for pricing?
So basically, depending on when you got your pre-books in and stuff, you may have that, but most of the times now you guys are switching versus some stores are getting their second and third orders right now.
Okay.
So versus you guys would be getting your first one, so you could be locked in. So maybe a few of those items you're like, well, do I want 3 of them? Do I want 2 of them? You would maybe get 3 on the plus side, even if it's a crap year. Most of the stuff is carryover, and you always obviously hope to sell it, but and overall how a buyer and you guys are doing, it's better to have it than later on they're gonna charge you way more for the same stuff that's in the warehouse now. Because even if you're drop shipping stuff right now, they've got stuff that came in on container 2. That's how they refer to it and stuff. If you hear them talking, so that's the stuff that came over on the last one, and you'll see it on invoices. It's 11% more than what you're gonna pay, and it's ridiculous. It is. If you want to educate young people about what the hell is going on in the world, this is perfect to explain to a wakeboarder where something that just went from $300 just went to $450 because they wanted to drop ship it versus what you guys have in stock. That's how a lot of people are selling systems right now, especially with you with your GUIs. Yes, I can order you these other bindings, but I can get you these ones for $200 versus the other ones $400 and stuff. So perfect way to move the stuff you have in the store first. I mean, always drop ship. That customer wants it. How do you not take their money? Yeah, you know, like it's you just don't make as much money versus your margins are here, and that's the name of the game. Is you know, that's why I think I love Two Ropes and best. Like it blows me away that the margins are so much better on that than they are on high dollar items and stuff. But yeah, take advantage of that stuff is what you're buying and stuff, because yeah, all the stuff that will come in will be 11%. And then basically, despite of what the world thinks and stuff, that will then offset next year's retail price. So yeah, cool, you got all this stuff. No, that's what I'm saying. If you get a few extra ones and stuff, next year there's just no way around it. Retail will clearly adapt for this 11% so that you guys aren't getting crazy invoices that say on the bottom corner 11%, and it'll give you, because it can be something as crazy, especially with you guys having systems where you get tariffed on the system bindings, but not the boots, because the boots were already in the warehouse.
Yeah. Well, we were lucky, just so you guys know, we didn't pay any tariffs on anything we have in stock. So I'm price matching this year. If anybody finds anything cheaper than what we've got, because we have the lowest prices, just, you know, for both store, I guess, well, at least for my store, if you guys want anything from here and somebody says they can get it cheaper, have them prove it. But I've looked online and we pretty much have the lowest prices everywhere.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing.
And that's a great selling point. Like, hey, come and get it from us.
Yeah, especially as much as you guys have stuff.
Yeah.
Get out the door and stuff, you know? And one thing I would watch, especially if anyone said, oh, I can get it here cheaper. You can find everything online cheaper. Make them show you it and add it to cart. Because there are a million items that are on there that will not let you add it to cart. And that's because they don't have it on stock. They love doing it. It's clickbait. Like, oh, this one for this price. Well, they only have it in like the smallest size possible, the biggest. Anyone, and people don't get that. And then just be like, all right, well, that's the problem then. And they'll be like, well, I'll get this one. And be like, all right, you
and
don't write a 119.
Needs to match, because they may have found a state that's 4 years old.
Yeah,
like,
and that's definitely watch that for online stuff. But yeah, sell what you got. And like I said, the world's going to start catching on to the tariff thing, especially if you guys take advantage of, like I said, it's the same stuff that's in the warehouse now. It's just they've got it like sorted in a computer and stuff. It's a nightmare. But it's the world we live in now. So
Can you hit on year of boat and wake size? You did it last year. I'm sorry for everybody that already heard it, but can you, just to give everybody a little bit of an idea of what we're selling to who, like who has bigger wakes? Like you said last year, anything after 2020 has a bigger wake, pretty much. Also talk about length of rope for people like with bad knees, things like that. Can you hit that for our new staff?
Yep. So what I'll start with wakeboard and stuff, I like to put people all the way out, give them all the room. Sometimes boats, it's a little too washy, but still one section, still farther out, giving someone way more room to ride. Because basically on a boat, it's a V-wake shape like that. So if you get them in too close, they're in the white spray, they're right in the worst spot. Get them way out there, give them way room to carve, let them have fun experience. Sometimes too out there, it's not as choppy because you're farther out, you're not right in the prop wash. So sometimes the kids won't be getting beaten up so much and stuff. A lot of times though, with kids, they always want to be super close. Once they get past that, wakeboarding, it's better to be a little farther out there. You know, enjoy the ride. Yeah, get the carved and stuff. As far as wake surf and stuff like that, that's why all these ropes have sections. It is going to come to each boat. A lot of 2020 now have all these gates, everything that come off the boat that make these wakes just monstrous. So Some you're gonna need that full rope all the way out with the wake surfing. Some of them, like an older boat, 2000 and below, they may pull it into sections or so like that, just to get that more of that sweet spot, because that's how it is on their boat. That's why they're sectioned. That's why when they see the 75 or the 25 that's stamped on some of the surf rope, that's what you kind of let them know. No, there's sections. Some wakeboard ropes are every 5 feet. Wake surf ropes, I believe, are every 2 foot section. So, and then same thing with tube ropes. I think they're every 5 foot section so that you can kind of, but with tubes, it's kind of lock and load, send the kids out and watch them fly type thing. So no one's really worried about sections on a tube, but that's the main thing. And then I don't know if you guys carry, especially if you guys people with out drives, that's the boats with the goofy engine off the back. Make sure you're kind of seeing what they're tying it to. I'm sure you guys have some type of item, or at least they can find it. Don't let them just they're like, oh yeah, we just tie it to the side of the boat. Tube ropes, I listen to more than I do wakeboard winning, because I'm always making sure who I'm talking to. So you're not listening to some guy who's going to be like I said, the guy you see on the evening news later who ripped his fleet out and saying killed all his kids in the boat, or safety and gating, kind of giving these people to the knowledge. My second biggest pet peeve is if you see someone driving with their boards and their racks, these racks are not gauged. They're gonna kill someone. So like if you see a customer rolling and they're strapped up, get them boards out of those racks too. We've been seeing it a lot lately through windshields down our way. They think the racks can hold the board. Like I said, little pieces of knowledge maybe kind of help kind of see. I even got the excuse, oh, I'm just going right. Like, did you get on the freeway? Like, yeah, no, it's not gauged for 60 miles an hour down the freeway and stuff. You're gonna kill someone, especially I could see it going down this, the highways and stuff, and like I said, little stuff like that gives them, oh shit, I didn't know, most of the people I know that have these $200,000-300,000 boats that are coming in to buy gear from you, they don't know shit. They don't know. Just because you can afford something that cool does not mean so it's not, don't be afraid to ask these questions, kind of create that, relationship with just some of the things I told you so they can kind of grasp it and stuff. Because most of the time, the people who bought those boats don't have any gear. They don't know anything. They're just having fun, and that's just what they wanted. And that's all there is now, and that's what I'm saying. If the market's too high and those guys aren't coming in, your next customer, guy who's bought a used boat, needs to stock it up. So gauge your customer. Like I said, some people say I'm wasting time talking to them, but I pick facts from them. You're kind of building a relationship. So, like you said, finding out if they wake surf, how much they wake surf, wakeboard ropes, like all that stuff to sell. Guys, guys bounce product from you guys' store since your system's interchanged. Try to sell everything that you got in the store. Like I said, tariffs, or you don't want to be having. Come September, you're not going to want to reorder, at whatever those prices are, like
or store all this because dropship.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And for any of you guys that are buying stuff, what carryover items? The senders, the journeys, the broadcasts, like things that who cares if the graphic changes, you're still going to make money on. Like, I know you guys sell them stuff. It kind of it'll show to the customer because they'll be able to tell. Damn, why is this $400 and this one's $600? They'll start to notice over time, and even if it's not this summer, as it goes, they'll be like, I remember when I could get a board for $400, and it wasn't there if you're old and shit, But yeah, I think that was kind of all of those tubes. You guys have fun little parts and stuff with the Boston valves and stuff. Well, besides that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we do pretty good on vests and the other stuff. We just don't sell a ton of boards. I mean, maybe one or two each season. But those people, the people that come in, usually they forgot a board or they whatever, they're going to Shasta Lake. But again, they do much better at KBS with, volume of boards being sold. But every now and then, it was neat. One, I think it was like 3 years ago, some guy came in and actually was like, do you have anything with a continuous rocker? And I'm like, wait, what? You actually know what you're talking about? Cool. Yeah. Let's get into this, man. Yeah, so it's very rare, but
you get that, or you get the guy who's like, here's some at Shasta from Hawaii. He's like, where's your foils?
Right.
Here's the cow.
Because you guys do foils over there, right? You guys don't have any foils.
No, I don't think either of us do the foils.
Oh, you guys don't have foils either over there?
I don't think
I don't think so, no.
Or, yeah, I wasn't sure. It's niche market and stuff. I mean, it's so expensive. And
You're like
those
2,500
Amazon items where
now.
it's like, man, you carry one, then someone does wants the other size, and they're on Amazon. It's like, man, it's a rough one, you know, like kind of with certain niches, you got to kind of have it and stuff. I the air chair, it only lasted so long, and then it would have fizzled away. So we'll see how long this sticks around, but it's fun.
Seems kind of fun.
Yeah, it is kind of something different. So it's expensive. So you know, like most, they're all that you can drop ship it, just your margin. There's something like that where the board may be cheaper, but the foil, like, but yeah. You guys have questions on or anything?
Nope.
All right. Well, hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much. I tried to keep it sweet.
No.
Like I said,
Ready for
anything,
some?
I leave the brochures, I'll leave the cards so that you guys can get your facts from there. Like talking to your customers, you know. So
Get them in the right
yeah,
spot.
I sell what you have. Like I said, I'd love it to be HYPERLITE, but sell what you gotta do. Get your stuff out of your store because you gotta make money. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't do Conley or anything like that?
Oh, you guys are our guys.
All right. All right.
Yeah. Way back at the old shop, yeah. No, we've been HYPERLITEs just straight across the board for years now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of works. I mean, I don't know if many people know, but they're all actually owned by one company.
Oh, really?
They
Like
all-
all the other stuff
Yeah,
in here.
no, they're all Yeah. No, I mean, but it's just one that's got them all. Like, you know,
Oh, I see.
Brian,
I see what you're saying.
CWB, Liquid Force, and then he uses it to like different ones make this, you know,
Right,
like so.
right, right.
Sometimes when the guy's like, "No, I ride Liquid Force because it's core," I'm like, "Cool, right on." We made it at the same factory, like it's all, you know. So. Yeah, exactly. You know, so like it's that's why I kind of always try to listen to people when they're trying to say, "Oh, it's core." Oh, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you think is core, you know.
Yep, roll with it.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
all just want to shred. man.
Yeah,
That's the
you know,
bottom
just-
line.
Get them out there and stuff, you know. So, but yeah,
Cool.
yeah, and I hope to. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
One day we'll have to get you and Heather to meet
Yeah,
up.
no, that's what I'm saying. I'd love to go check out that store. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's told.
Yeah, next year, do it up here.
They got some, yeah, they're into it up there for
Me
sure.
and Ben bring the boat up to Klamath.
no, Ben dropped the ball last year on that one. You gotta give him some shit. Tell him to get it up
I
here.
know it.
Or he picked, I think, like the coldest week. I think he tried it like around May. It's like, man. feel
I
like-
think I saw on Instagram LTD went.
Yeah, is
I
that
was like, they're cruise on the water.
Oh man, Benny dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Keep that Englishman on his toes.
But let's everybody grab a board or item. Let's take a hype picture and we'll email it to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you, Squirrel Fit Clinic. Bye, guys.
Bye, thank you.
You give me a call and stuff.